Now, I've made meatballs for my 2-year-old nieces twice now. Large ones, they hated them. But then I made this recipe with tiny little meatballs and they adored them. So for all the mums and dads out there, all the aunties, this is the recipe to try. It is super easy and very minimal ingredients. We're going to start with a saute pan, just like this one, on a medium to high heat. And we need to heat it up with some extra virgin olive oil, 1 to 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to fry some onions. So 1 onion that I'm going to finely slice. And if you cook them long enough, they will soften and dissolve into the tomato sauce. So next half of the onion. Okay. Now we're going to add this to the oil and we'll just begin to soften it. Now, I don't like big chunks of carrot in this recipe, so I've finely grated it. 1 carrot, so the finer it is, again, the faster it's going to cook too. So that can go in at the same time as our onion. And we'll just coat that in the oil. And a small pinch of salt and some pepper. Okay, we'll let that cook off while we get on to the mini meatballs. I'm using chicken mince, but you could use beef mince or pork mince. It's totally up to you. And to make sure they're really fluffy and cloud-like, I like to add some bread. So this is just 2-day-old sourdough that I've soaked in some milk. And you want to soak this for about 10 minutes. You can see if I just squeeze it, we've got some milk in there. This is the key to the perfect little meatball. So now we're just going to break this up into our meat mixture. See how soft it is? And 1 egg, I'll just crack that into a bowl first. And then straight in. I also like to add some pecorino. Parmesan also works nicely. 2 handfuls. And that's it for our meat mixture. Now get your hands in there and give that a really good mix until everything is combined. So you'll see this mixture start to become quite sticky, and that is looking nice and sticky. And essentially we just want to form very small meatballs, pretty much the size of a cherry. So I'm not going to roll these now. What I like to do is finish making the sauce and then add them as I make them, because these don't need to be fried, they poach in our sauce. And our onions and carrot are fried, quite soft. And then we can add our tomatoes. I'm using rich and thick diced tomato. This has some basil and garlic in it, so that cuts out 2 ingredients. It also has tomato paste. We're going to get that beautiful rich tomato flavour. So in with our cans. 1 and 2. And just to sneak in a few more veggies, some frozen peas. I like to add them at this stage because I do want them to cook down. So we're going to give that a stir and we'll pop the lid on. And this is going to cook at this stage for about 15 to 20 minutes or until it's rich and thick, and then we start adding the meatballs. Okay, this sauce is looking pretty good. Ooh, see how the peas have cooked down, and you can hardly see the carrot because it's dissolved into the sauce. Now for our little meatballs, little tiny meatballs. Look, I'm doing it like this, but of course you can roll regular meatballs if you like. Kind of like doing this though, it's slightly therapeutic. And we'll just pop them in to the sauce. And once I've placed them in the sauce, they're going to take about 10 minutes to cook. In that time, I'm going to cook some risoni too. pasta is cooked and I've strained it, and our little mini meatballs are ready. Look at that. I just wish you could smell this. I can smell the pecorino, the tomatoes, just delicious. Now we'll turn the heat off and we'll give it one last stir. You can see how they've held their shape nicely. And I always like to stir my sauce with my pasta, so into the bowl with our risoni. And yes, you could use spaghetti, you could use some penne pasta, rigatoni, but my nieces, they like risoni because it's so much easier for them to eat. Gee, they sound very fussy, don't they? They're not really. I just like to make sure they're happy. So now I'm just going to give that a good stir, toss it around, coat every little risoni, a little extra cheese, and another stir, and we'll plate up. Risoni gets its name because it has the shape of rice, so it really doesn't need long at all to cook. This took 6 minutes to become al dente. And because I'm tasting this one today, some extra cheese over the top. Look at that. So yummy. Whether you're a 2-year-old or a 34-year-old, everyone is going to love this dish. Make a big batch because these meatballs freeze really well.